So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming bright and early today, and we're ready to begin. We worked this time in here actually because we anticipated there might need to be some twiddling around here. My name's Tanis Morgan, and I'm from the JI, and this is Karen Belfer from VCC. We are the co-hosts of this event. It's our second year that we're doing this, and we welcome all of you. This year we have web participants. We're running a web stream at the same time, and we're sort of trying this out. So web participants, welcome. Please be patient with us in case we do have any glitches today, but we shouldn't because our tech crew is so fantastic. And that brings me to just a quick round of acknowledgements. We have Lars in the back there from the JI who is working on the web stream for us today, as is Victor. Did Victor leave? He stepped out? So Victor as well. They are our technical assistants for the day. We met Tracy Gavriel at the registration desk. She's been really wonderful in helping us put this together. Karen, my partner in crime here from VCC. And we have the fabulous Leva Lee from BC Campus, who is going to be our MC for the day. If you attended last year, you would have seen Karen and I running around with chickens with our heads cut off and trying to be timekeepers, and it was probably one of the things that didn't work so well. So we now have other people to be mean timekeepers. The schedule is jam-packed, and we do that sort of on purpose, partly because part of the day is really we see a big variety of different types of online courses, and we try and give as much of a broad range of institutions involved. So that's why the presentations are short and succinct. They're 15 minutes, and then you get cut off, and then we do a 5-minute switch. And then we're rolling again. Now, the opportunity for asking those burning questions can come between the transition time, and also we do have panels scheduled, 20-minute panels. And this year we have a student panel, which we're really happy to have. I don't know if all the students have arrived yet. We gave them the slot before lunch because we figured that would be most convenient for them, but we will get to meet the students, and they'll be able to tell us what are online courses really so good, and what they think and what their experiences are as being online students. So that should be quite enlightening. I just wanted to mention that the online course showcase site, which you probably have seen because it's where all the information has been, I've put up these details here in case you're looking for them, but the hashtag for the day is OC Showcase 2011. So if you're following along on Twitter, especially for web participants, you will have Sylvia Curry and some students who will be facilitating that Twitter stream. So Sylvia is another fabulous BC Campus person, so we're really grateful for that. We also have the guest wireless here, which is up here. And I do have some cards floating around in the back where Lars is, in case you want to grab one and just have it handy. But that is our wireless access. And then BC Campus has set up an Etherpad site where if you want to join in any collaborative note-taking, that is available for you at that link. So if you can jot that down, then you can, or if you go to the OC Showcase site, you can just click on it and it should work. Other than that, I just need my notes here. Have I covered all this? Just some quick acknowledgements, just because, it makes sense to do these at the end of the day, and we'll do them again. Because we do have gifts for presenters this year as well. But in case people have to dash off early, I wanted to do some acknowledgements up front. The first, of course, being VCC, which was an incredible host this year because they are supplying all the food in addition to some gifts as well. So we're really grateful for that. And we also have BC Campus once again helping us out very generously in a number of different ways. I have to acknowledge Tracy Gavriel, who was at registration desk. I also had some really good help from Jerome Rodriguez and Bob Walker, who came up with the idea of getting an Apple TV and using this as a way to sort of present the mobile presentations. So they were really helpful with that. And that's pretty much, am I forgetting anybody? I should acknowledge, he's not here, but Michelle Tarko, our VP Education, has been really, really big supporter of educational technology and our educational technology initiatives. So I'm really, really happy for that. So, MetroEd, thank you. How could I forget? MetroEd. MetroEd is the Lower Mainland faculty developers, And they were hugely supportive this year. They were really big supporters of last year, and they came and participated, and they really are the reason why this event actually happened again. So I'm really grateful to MetroEd, and they were wonderful in providing gifts and offering a lot of assistance. So really fabulous group, and we're lucky to have them in the Lower Mainland. So there you go. That's enough. How am I doing for time? I'm 1 minute over. Leva.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everybody out here joining us here for the online course showcase. So I just wanted to just remind everyone that the event is being web streamed and that pictures and sometimes video might be taken, so just so that you're aware and that everybody knows about that. Again, a big welcome to people that are joining us through the web stream. And we will get started. You can follow along on with the agenda on the blog site. There will be 3 theme categories: mobile learning, accessibility, and post-secondary and beyond. We'll start this morning with the mobile learning theme and our first presenter. So I'd like to introduce Jason Shaw from Vancouver Coastal Health, and he will give us a demonstration on mobile Moodle. So if I could ask Jason to come up and show us what you have.
Thank you. So I'm just going to log in here and then we'll get started. So I'm Jason, I'm from Vancouver Coastal Health, and what I'm going to show you is kind of a prototype, not prototype anymore, but it's still in the end of development stage, and what the point of it is physician orientation. So before physicians can start, they need to be educated online, oriented online, so we don't have to pay for an instructor to sit in a classroom and orient them all at once. So it kind of quickens things up and it's a little cheaper. So we have noticed that the physicians more and more are using iPads and they have their iPhones, so we wanted to develop a platform that works with that. And since BlackBerry is what we use, it's corporate, we had to make sure it also worked on BlackBerry. So the goal here was to have the same theme, the same technology for both platforms, the web, like the browser, your normal everyday browser like Firefox, IE, and BlackBerry and iPad, same theme, but it just determines what comes up and it changes it a little bit. And another wrinkle is we have to use IE6 because we have clinical apps, so we still use IE6 at the hospital. So it needed to work on IE6 too. So this is a basic Moodle theme, and what I'm going to show you doesn't modify any core features of Moodle, so you could plug it into any installation of Moodle 1.9. So as you can see, it's just a basic course. So I'm sure all of you have seen Moodle before, so just there you are. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the format a bit. So we have a course format called iCourse, and a theme called iCourse. So now it changed the look of it dramatically. And those icons are just default icons, placeholder icons. So if you scroll down, you get a list of what icons you have to put in there to change the look of them. So there's instructions saying you need a _R for the rollover. You need to first do this, and then do that, and then do that. So just going through this quickly. And so unzip the icons. What they're going to do is they're going to go into the default images folder under icons, and then it'll populate those icons back at this page. So there's the icons for that. So you get a custom look. So there's no more icons missing. If we just switch this And as you can see, sorry, I just went too quick. There's still all of the core Moodle features, so you can still edit the pages, add the icons, or add the resources, and it'll populate up there. And this is what the student will see. So they don't see that bottom part down there. They just see this. So the next part is a custom, the custom header is actually there already. I didn't remove it. So that's a custom header. You can put that in any course. It goes in the images folder. It's called header PNG. So pretty straightforward stuff. And then for the last section, we use record of completions for tracking a lot of things. So once the user's viewed all these things, you can see the little check marks, and they've spent the appropriate amount of time. They'll get a record of completion. But we don't want them to see it before they get it, right? So if you just move it to the last section, it removes it from the default icon view. So the tracking here, you can see if I go into this resource, and I click the home button back to go to the initial page, it'll mark it as checked. So it'll know and it'll remember everywhere you go. It doesn't matter what computer, it's not session-based, it's actually database-driven. And to quicken up things, we wrote a cookie so that it works faster on the computer. It doesn't hit the database every single time. I'll show you what it looks like on a tablet or a device. So I can't really pull up a device up here, but sorry. So this is what it would look like on your iPhone or your BlackBerry or your iPad. So this is in a teacher view, so you got to remember that. We're seeing a bit more than what the student would see. And so this is kind of what it would look like, and then you get these tabs for the administration panel or the administration sidebar or the other sidebars for Moodle. So you can see your grades or whatever. And you click that. If you go into a resource, it's going to change the view here. It wouldn't, obviously, if we are on the device it's supposed to. I'm just doing a quick thing here by adding a query string variable. So, sorry. So. And the next step, the hardest thing about this was the video, to get the video to work on the BlackBerry, to get it to work on IE6, to get it to work everywhere, and it required installing a filter into Moodle. So it's like your basic media filter which you would use. So right here, first step is it looks to see if you have Flash. If you have Flash, it's going to use the JW player. If you don't have Flash, it's going to see if you have QuickTime and let you use the QuickTime. If you don't have that, it's going to prompt you saying you should go get these things. If you think you have these things, click here and you can play it. And so this will work on any device that we've tested. So it works on the iPhone, it works on the BlackBerry, and the video plays on all of them. So,
on behalf of the Board of Directors and the Senior Executive, welcome to Vancouver Coastal Health.
In anticipation for HTML5, the video filter actually works off the syntax for HTML5. So you can see there it is. But we have IE6 and we have to wait for those clinical systems to be updated for the new browsers. So the actual syntax used for this is HTML5 for the filter. So if you brought this course over to a college or university that is ready for HTML5, you wouldn't even need the filter. And so the videos we're using that we found work in all platforms have the ACC codec for audio, and they have the H.264 codec for video, and the file format is MP4. So with this filter, we forced our developers to use a standard video. They can't use any video they want anymore. They have to use those standards, and we have like a standard thing where you hand them and it gives them instructions to use Handbrake, which is free. So there's no reason for them not to use what we've provided them. And all of these changes that I've just showed you, the icons, the header and the iCourse course format, the course theme, and the filter all would fit on a floppy drive. So we're not talking large in size. And just to give you a sense of what you could do with this format, here's another course. This is for student placements, I believe. So it's the same theme, same course format, it's just different icons. Any questions? No? Yep. How do I track it?
Well, but like on your iPhone, a little check mark.
Yep. There's a log database in Moodle, and if you run that, like you can actually put a link for users to check their own activity. So if you went into that, you could get the query they're using for it. So we just use that query and we populate the checkboxes. But that's pretty extensive if you have you don't want to be hitting the database every time they go there. So what we did was we wrote a cookie. So the first time they visit it, it hits the database, it gets everything they've seen, and then from there on, it uses the cookie to keep track of what they've gone. So if you log out, you log back in, it's going to hit the database that first time again. So. The physicians haven't actually used this yet. And I don't know if you've ever tried to get 5 physicians in one room, but it's turning out to be very hard. So just to do this, it's like a head cam walking around the hospital. This took a fair amount of planning and a lot of, I can't make it, just because they're physicians, right? So.
Emergency here at Vancouver General Hospital.
To find someone willing
I'd like
to do this
take
and
you
the
on
time,
a brief introduction.
It's very hard. So, I think I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jason. That was fascinating. Okay, we have our next presenter, and I'll call Paul Hibbitts from Simon Fraser University for the next session. We'll just get set up, so we'll take a moment here. And he'll be presenting on Anytime, Anywhere, Mobile Companion for Face-to-Face course. Paul.
Sure, that's great.
Jerome, do I have to change the input on this? Laptop, okay. That should work now. And then it should all be ready to go.
Hello, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today. My name is Paul Hibbitts, and I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes to kind of give you a little demonstration of a mobile course website that I created to complement face-to-face course that I'm doing at Simon Fraser University. So actually, I teach, ironically, user interface design. I'm a user experience design consultant. So obviously, I better deliver a good quality user experience to my students since I am teaching user interface design. So I was under the gun. And I wanted to look at what could I do with an off-the-shelf CMS to deliver a mobile course companion site to really provide some extra learning materials for the students. I ended up using WordPress. You see up here, this is the desktop version of the site. I used the Headway framework to allow me to kind of make the site look like it fits within the other SFU branding materials. And I chose WordPress mostly because it has great plugin support and, in particular, mobile support. So why don't I scoot on over to the iPhone interface. So basically, I wanted to provide, I named my presentation Anytime, Anywhere, and really I should have added Anything. Because what I want to do is I want to provide my students all the content for their companion site, whether they have mobile or desktop. So I used a WordPress plugin called WP Touch Pro, which I was really impressed with. It allows me, and it would allow you to customize with CSS little fine-tuning points of the site. And so why don't I give you a little tour of the site. Now, I also have for you today a survey, the results of a survey that my students have filled out for me, which is always a humbling experience, right? So I'm going to share that with you, and hopefully we'll all learn a few things from there. So I did this over the summer, and my course started in September. And so for the first 4 weeks, the students basically had an iPhone application interface kind of similar like this, but with some differences, you know? Like, I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if they came to the course page and they saw announcements? You know, of course, they would care so much what I have to say, right? And I was thinking, you know, I'd have a Twitter feed with some of my thoughts and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I'll be honest. My students actually want to get to the course site, find out, like, when's the next assignment due? When's my next required reading due? What do I have to do with my group in terms of some content that I'm learning, right? And so I just used traditional email for all boring announcements and stuff like that, and came up with this idea of weekly summaries, yeah? So weekly summaries are a format on the blog where you come up, and it uses a great plugin called Color Boxes to highlight what's really important that the student should know right away, right? So actually my goal changed. My goal changed from having the students just explore this mobile website to having the student having to probably not have to go anywhere in the mobile website and be able to get what they need at the front page, right? So I've got this weekly summary idea. They can find out their materials. They can actually look at slides if they want to. You know, I see all my students are on the buses, on the SkyTrains. I'm thinking, oh, you know, what a great learning opportunity. If they do want to pick up a few things with some downtime, put everything on the website. So I'll show you a little bit of that in a minute. And so I mentioned this survey that I did. So I'm going to share with you this survey. It's unedited and raw. And so I was really surprised. 51% of my students were accessing this mobile website within 4 weeks of the course. So I thought, wow, this is a change, right? And by the way, every year I always do a companion course website. This is the first year that I kind of did more of a fully customized CMS approach. But I thought, wow, that's really quite interesting. So looking at the device setup here, Android and iPhone are obviously running the pack, and a bit of iPad. Some things that the students liked. They liked that it was comprehensive. They liked the calendar. It's always up to date. They really liked having the mobile interface, easy to navigate, organization, and that's their comment about not WebCT, but I'll leave that alone. And then for student dislikes, look, they called me on it, right? Too little content on the front page that's valuable, too many clicks to key material. I did host it on my own server, so I couldn't change the fact they had to log in with other credentials. I also added a cache plugin to speed up things on the server, and a URL hard to remember, well, I gave them a tiny URL after that. But where they really got me were the first two, and I dramatically changed the course mobile site based on that feedback to be what you see now with these weekly summaries, valuable content right up front. So let's take a quick minute here and take a look at what is in this site, right? So we've got the usual kind of things, important dates, that's kind of boring. It's a night class. I like to show I'm a bit human to my students, so there's a coffee cup there because it's a 3-hour night class, right? So they can go and say, well, let's take a look at week 1. Now, because it's mobile, I kind of had to make some decisions, right? And ideally, I wanted to keep the different kinds of materials separate, so I used tabs, but it kind of goes a little bit wonky. But the student can simply go on landscape mode. Everything turns out quite nicely at that point. So they can review slides if they want to and actually go through the slides I showed during the day. They can actually view through Picasa on Google the screenshots I used for my case study, so they can review that afterwards as well. They can access all their handouts. They can look at videos. And this was tough. I kind of thought, you know, should I separate videos and podcasts? And I did. Because, you know, on a mobile device, it's a lot easier to listen to podcasts rather than stare at your device and go down the bus and, you know, that kind of stuff, right? So I kept everything separate. And with, you know, YouTube, it's very easy to insert in an iframe content on the website. So that's what I did for the video. Podcasts, they can listen to a podcast. In fact, I usually choose a couple of podcasts for each topic that I do. And of course, the signed readings. I'm hoping that the dears are at their library and they want to find out what they need to do for their signed readings so they can get it on their mobile device. So that's basically the way that I kind of cut up all the materials, looking at different media types, looking at different tasks, and allowing the student to kind of go through them in that manner. And then what else could I show you that might be interested in? Oh yeah, UX Techniques Guide. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to provide my students a real learner-centered viewpoint of the material. My viewpoint is obviously my weekly schedule. But I wanted them to go, you know what, we're doing this assignment, we're talking about how are we going to capture information about who we're designing for. Where can we go learn more about that? And maybe it doesn't match perfectly a module that I have. So I had this idea called a Techniques Guide. And this Techniques Guide, I actually present a series of questions from the student's viewpoint of how they might be facing a problem, right? So how can I, describe and categorize information about my audience? Or how can I conceptualize possible design solutions? And then I kind of give them my top 3 links for each kind of category. For each kind of category: concept maps, design thinking, mobile design patterns, problem reframing. So this goes far beyond my particular modules that I choose for my course, but I give them a resource that I'm hoping they will kind of turn to kind of add to their learning in any way they see fit, during my course content, and in particular for their projects. So that, by the way, was one of the favorite, even though it didn't come up in the surveys, I've had really good feedback from my students saying that is one of the most valuable things that they really liked about the course website. The students also have a media library. I've got some friends at UIE.com. They have, by the way, excellent virtual seminars, and they gave me permission to share a couple of those with my students. So again, trying to bring in other viewpoints other than my own for my students to take a look at and learn through the website. And they can also book instructor meetings, and they can even go to their course gradebook. A professor at SFU actually has created an online gradebook, so I can kind of plug that in to my site, and I even have students be able to access their grades using my WordPress-based platform. And so everything that I've showed you, I'm just going to go back here, everything that I showed you here on the mobile interface, again, if you go scoot over here, see, now when you look at the desktop interface, you'll notice some very similar things. And one thing that's often lacking when you go from a desktop WordPress theme to a mobile theme is the sidebar content. The sidebar content over here, we've got course tools and stuff. Nice feature about WP Touch Pro is that when you create your drop-down menu that you can do, you can actually add custom items. So I just pulled over, those really key sidebar links into this custom menu. And that really allowed me to deliver everything that the student would be really accessing on their desktop, on their mobile device. And also, WP Touch Pro is working on an iPad theme, which is really cool. But it's not quite there yet, but I'd like to show you so you have a sample. Please come up. That's great. Just hang on 1 second, please. I just got to quickly log in here. So they're not quite there yet. They've done an excellent job. I can't say enough about WP Touch Pro and the team there. So here's the iPad version. You'll be this will be quite familiar to you now, what I can do. All the content is viewable. There are just a couple of little things have to still be done in the iPad version for it to really work for me on my homepage, especially with the presentation of the blog, summaries, and stuff like that. But as you can see, it's getting really close. Yeah. So that is a pretty brief, quick overview of my mobile course website for, like I say, iPhone and various other devices, Androids, iPads. And like I say, I can't say enough about WordPress being used with WP Touch Pro. That was a key factor in my success. And as well, for the desktop version, or presentation, I shouldn't say version, I use a framework called Headway, which allowed me to do some SFU-like branding kind of stuff with that. So I think that was a pretty quick tour, but I think that's about it. Do we have a couple of any questions out there that I could answer? Go ahead. Thank you very much. You're most welcome. It is actually, I'm quite a traditionalist, paper-based assignment. And it's because often in their assignments, they're interviewing people and they have raw interview notes, and then in their design assignments, they actually have to draw with paper and pencil some design sketches. So I get them to submit stuff physically, but definitely there is also a way to submit electronic assignments through that gradebook that I showed you. So I could even hook that up to the course website for students to do that.
I'm just going to repeat that question for the web participants. The question was, how are you getting students to submit the assignments? That Paul just answered.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. In the back. Yeah, so Headway is actually a theme you can buy for WordPress that's actually more of a framework. And by framework, I mean it gives you the ability to really customize very easily your overall presentation in a much easier manner than maybe some frames that might let you, or some themes that might let you change a few settings. Headway lets you completely come up with a nice theme like this with no hard coding. So that was all very like point and click, choose my colors, choose my settings, and then I'm done. So I found Headway with WP Touch Pro gave me that great combination of desktop and mobile with one content source. Go ahead. Well, there is a free version, but the free version doesn't have the menu that I showed you up on top.
The question there was, is the theme you're using Headway, and did you have to buy WP Touch Pro?
Yes, and so WP Touch has a free version, but it doesn't have the menu. It lacks some options. So I did, because again, I'm a user experience design consultant. I bought that as part of my business kind of thing. But yeah, but it's quite reasonable. It's like $100 or $150. So it can do quite a lot for you.
Any other questions?
How much institutional support do you have at SFU for WordPress? Is this sort of on your own, or?
Yeah, this would be on my own server. And I know at some point they did have some sites going, but yeah, this is kind of my own side project to see what I could do for the students.
Has this been a catalyst for SFU to look at hosting WordPress?
Maybe it might be, but at this time I can't say no for sure. Any other questions? Oh, yes, thank you. Go ahead.
So, for somebody who's not technical and has never done the last presentation, it sounds like you need a lot of technical knowledge to know how to do it with an iPad versus mobile. How much technical capacity do you really have to do this?
Right. I'd actually say if, so the question was?
The question is, how tech savvy do you have to be to set something up like this in relation to the last presentation and this presentation?
So for what you've seen here, if you got the Headway framework and you bought WP Touch Pro, you could probably get about 80 to 85% of what you see here today without doing any extra tweaking or coding or funny business. So I was actually surprised. One of the largest time-consuming things is to test every plugin first on the mobile version presentation and then the desktop. Because a lot of plugins won't work seamlessly between the two, so it's just like grunt work. But after doing that, I'd say 80, 85% you could do without any coding, CSS, stuff like that. Sure.
Do you have to do it separately for all those places?
No, the nice thing is WP Touch Pro will just represent the same content. So you tweak once and it gets on both presentations.
We have time for one more question over there.
Did you enable commenting, or did you communicate with your students?
Commenting is there, but I just find with my face-to-face students, and it's about 75 students actually in that class, their communication style, surprisingly, they actually just like more face-to-face and office hours rather than communicating through the web. I actually did set up an online forum I didn't show you because it's like a ghost town. So like that.
So the question there was around commenting, using the commenting feature in WordPress.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Paul. Okay, we'll just get the next